healing fearful avoidance. So there was a woman I was working with, we'll call her Loretta. She was telling me the story of growing up. It was a tumultuous environment that she grew up in. And she ended up having to move from her parents to go live with her uncle. And her uncle was raising her, and he was just kind of like an aggressive type personality. So you don't feel comfortable like speaking up to him because he'll snap. And so she kind of grew up just like walking on those eggshells, always kind of feeling like, don't want to make uncle mad. I got to just keep the peace. And finally, she was, 18. She had her scholarship in place and she was getting ready to go to college. And she was kind of fed up with her uncle's crap. So she spoke up to her uncle, not in a really aggressive manner, but told him he was wrong. So he was accusing her of something that she didn't do, and she just told him like, you're wrong, you don't know everything, that's not actually true what you're saying. And he absolutely snapped. And you have to understand, she doesn't normally speak up, she doesn't normally contradict her uncle, but and with good reason, because he's a loose cannon. But to this situation, he absolutely lost it, and he kicked her out of the house. And I mean, literally grabbed her in that moment and forcefully pushed her out of the front door. And so she's just out with like nothing. And so she ends up going to go stay with her aunts, and she went ahead and went to college. And the experience that she had growing up there left her with a trauma, especially the way things ended, because her uncle never spoke to her again from that one situation. So she literally went her whole childhood with him, never speaking up to him. Now he snaps. She speaks up one time. He snaps, kicks her out of the house, never speaks to her again. Down to this day, he's not speaking to her, and it left her with a trauma. She brought up in our sessions together. She said, "I equate conflict with the end of the relationship," and you can understand why, because in her case, she just spoke up one time, and that conflict it meant she lost her caregiver. Like, you're done, you're kicked out, you're cut off because you spoke up. So you can imagine how that made an impression on her subconsciously after years of not speaking up. And you'll find it's the case with many fearful avoidance. They felt like they couldn't express themselves honestly to their caregivers growing up. So their moms or dads or whoever it was that was taking care of them would blow up or had a temper or would ridicule them or make fun of them or make them feel bad about their feelings. They would not create a safe space for them to feel like they could speak up. They would punish you for speaking up. And so you're growing up in this environment where you learn to hide how you truly feel, to not get to know your own feelings, to not respect yourself or your own feelings, to know that your emotions are not accepted here and it's not safe for you to express them. You're growing up in an environment where you learn that you're not important or you feel invisible, right? And so this is what fearful avoidance have in their past, where they should have been getting love and support. And so they go into relationships as an adult, not realizing that they are in trauma mode. They're in stark terror. So when it comes to emotional intimacy with a partner, that makes them want to run away. So when the relationship actually would seemingly be going well, the way that they view that is, oh no, commitment is very scary. They're going to expect a lot out of me. I'm not going to be able to do everything they want me to do. I'm not going to be able to please them. I got to get out of here. Bam. And they're headed for the door in the relationship. Dismissive avoidants have a fear of being vulnerable. Uh, and that means that they lack courage because there's a direct correlation between vulnerability and courage. And so they don't want to take risks, not just in the relationship, but generally in life. Um, they grew up in that emotionally unsupportive environment, so they didn't learn that it's okay to make yourself vulnerable emotionally. They also don't know how to deal with their partner's vulnerability necessarily. They may even get the ick when it comes to gushy, mushy feelings, and instead they rather do manual labor. And literally speaking, they would rather clean the house, they rather wash the dishes, they rather take, okay, I'll do bathroom duty than to have to be here in the feelings and the mushiness and the gushiness. We're talking even positive feelings. And this could be even toward their own children. It's like, oh God, with all the mommy, I love you, this is kind of weird for me. I don't know how to handle this. So for many fearful avoidance, they learn to just stray away from any type of emotional intimacy altogether because it's just totally uncomfortable for them. So while they're getting away from their partners and their children who love them, they're not going off to do meditation and healing, unfortunately. They're going to distract themselves. So they're going to want to babysit kids, babysit the nephews, play video games, computer games, go shopping, dismissive avoidance, want to do everything. They pour themselves into their work, into their career, anything except deal with the actual issues and the problems in the relationship. Does that sound familiar to you? So they want to do anything except actually deal with their own emotions. And it gets to the point where they don't even feel like they know what their emotions are. Some engage in numbing, so they can just sit there and they just detach from themselves, where they don't even know what they're feeling. Um, so all that distracting of the self is a part of the avoidance. So they don't just avoid physically other people; they're distracting themselves so that they don't have to be engaged on an emotional level. Um, Dismissive avoidance are people pleasers, so they're agreeable in person because they don't have those skills of assertiveness. So they're not going to tell you that they don't want to go with you, don't like the thing that you did, that they're not into the such and such like you are. They don't want to tell you that because that's conflict, and conflict means the end of the relationship. Conflict is bad in their minds. So they're going to just please you, put the smile on, just, yeah, everything's good. Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, okay, yeah, that's fine. Right. And they just go with the flow, just try to keep everything good, and they're lying. In fact, many avoidants are professional liars. They've learned from their childhood that they can't be honest. So they lie, lie, lie. And it's not to manipulate you or use you in an evil way. They just lie because they are afraid. It's just fear. So this fear-based lying really takes over their life so that they don't show up as authentic in relationships. And as a result of not showing up as authentic, they don't ever feel like they're truly connected in a relationship. So even though you might have thought you were in a really good relationship with this fearful avoidant, they're like, I don't know if he would really love me for me because he doesn't really know who I really am. And by the way, I don't even know who I really am. You see the problem here? Um, Dismissive avoidants seem hard-hearted, but actually they're hypersensitive to criticism. They take seriously anything that's said negatively about them or against them, and they may think about it for days, weeks, months, years, over and over, just replaying the criticism, and they basically absorb that negativity. But then you try to throw at them a compliment, and they're, no, I can't accept that, I can't accept that. An insult, yes. Let the insult come inside me. Let it define me. And it's like, oh, why am I so depressed? Why do I have suicidal ideation? Well, because you're absorbing all the negative energy. You're absorbing everything that's negative, right? Does that make sense? So when it comes to you going to an avoidant with your feelings, they may have a low bandwidth for other people's emotions, because they were never filled up as a child. They were never coddled as a child. They were never soothed as a child. It's going to be difficult for them to do that for you, especially since it's difficult for them to do it for themselves. Does that make sense? When it comes to trust, their philosophy is, I don't trust anyone. And they came up with that when they were kids growing up in that difficult environment. So you remember like Lorena from the beginning of when I was talking about her growing up with her uncle, she had to always worry that she was going to get attacked growing up in this violent environment. So she just learned to always fear the worst. And now she uses that in her relationships, even with her boyfriend who's really nice. And so she just fears the worst. So now when her boyfriend's like, hey, things are going well in our relationship, I'd love to take it to the next level. She's like, look over there. And then when the boyfriend turns around, she's gone. And how did she disappear? Why did she run away? Because she's learned to fear the worst and to expect the worst. So when things are going well, she immediately fears losing that good thing, right? This is like you looking at your child, so beautiful, so wonderful, and then you start to feel love. And as soon as you feel that tinge of love, immediately fear overtakes the love, and you're just like, oh my God, I'm going to lose this child. I don't want to lose this child, right? And now you're living in that fear state again. And that's what happens to fearful avoidance. They're always in that fear state when it comes to other people. They don't trust. They're just assuming that it's always going to be the worst case scenario. It's going to be the worst thing possible. And so, yeah, you're going to have a hard time trying to get them to trust you. I have a buddy of mine. Um, they said to me, they go, yeah, I don't really have the bandwidth for a relationship. But this buddy is an avoidant, by the way. And they said, I don't have the bandwidth for relationships. And I said to them, oh, okay, well, I mean, there's nothing wrong with just being single if you're not into having a relationship. And they said, well, I mean, having sex would be nice. It's like, what are you trying to say exactly? They said, well, I would love to do like a friends with benefits, like a no strings attached type relationship. That is typical fearful avoidant behavior. They want the no strings attached, friends with benefits, no commitment relationship because they are commitment phobic. So they are afraid that they're not going to be able to show up in a commitment properly. So they're like, if you want to be in love, no, I can't do that. But if you want to just have sex and then not talk to each other, I can do that. They crave the closeness, but they fear the closeness. So, do you think you might have some avoidant tendencies? Let's heal these avoidant tendencies. Okay, let's heal these avoidant tendencies. We don't have to allow this stuff to just define us for the rest of our life. You realize that. In fact, it's actually foolish to allow the way you were raised as a child to dictate the rest of your life. I'm going to hit you with that again. It's foolish to allow the way you were raised as a child to dictate the rest of your life. Okay? Even a healthy person must grow up and recognize, the way I was being raised wasn't right. Or there's some things I'll take from that, and some things I'm going to leave behind. And I'm going to start my own life where I do things in my own way. So even a healthy person has to do that. In fact, it's a prerequisite to healing and being healthy that you have to individuate from your parents. So let go of everything that happened to you in your past and start reanalyzing with a fresh viewpoint each thing. This time no longer according to the emotions, but always according to the wise mind. I like to call this the mother mind, the father mind. I call it that because we instinctually know how to parent, caretake for others, right? But sometimes we forget like how to caretake and parent for ourselves. So we got to think in the mother mind or in the father mind And then we can make decisions that make more sense, right? So for instance, instead of saying, I would like a relationship where I don't have to have any actual emotions, but I can still get like that sexual intimacy. Okay, would the father mind or the mother mind recommend that? Well, no, because you could hurt other people because maybe they could become attached to you. So that wouldn't be very kind, right? That's what your mother or father mind would say. That's how you would advise your child. Two, you can get hurt in the process because maybe they're less committed and now you went in and got attached to someone, right? Three, it can really deplete your self-worth when you're going and giving yourself in this intimate way to a person that's not attached to you. Over time, in this friends with benefits relationship, you may look at this other person and wonder, why am I not good enough for them? After having given myself to this person, how come they still don't seem to feel in love with me or attached to me? There's going to be that thought in your brain, and you don't want to put yourself in that position where you've commanded them, you've demanded, hey, don't be attached to me, right? And then you give them your all in a sexual manner, and then you're like, hey, how come you're not getting attached? But that's actually natural. We're going to naturally ask that question, like, really? I've given you my all, and this is, and you don't feel anything, right? So it's actually not healthy. So when we go into our mother mind or our father mind, we might advise, don't go into relationships with people where you're going to mix some aspects of intimacy and try to avoid other aspects of intimacy. If you're going to do a relationship with someone, make sure that you're ready to go full in with intimacy and commitment, right? Because the commitment is a part of what creates the safe space so that you can be intimate, ideally, right? It's a little bit more safe, at least, than just saying, hey, we both commit to not being committed, right? That's actually unhealthy, right? And it's we're getting back into the area where we're not paying attention to feelings. We're not paying attention to our feelings. We're not showing ourselves able to care for another person's feelings. So instead, let's acknowledge that feelings do exist. And since feelings exist, we don't want to hurt someone's feelings. And since we don't want to hurt someone's feelings, let's make sure we're not trying to just get some of our emotional intimacy needs met and then try to avoid the inevitable other emotional intimacy. That's all going to end in disaster. Let's instead either stay single or go full in on the full commitment, wedding bells, right? Everything. Okay. That's to help us so that we're not creating more trauma for ourselves or for other people. Hurt people, right? When it comes to your tendency to engage in distractions, I'm not asking you to give up all the distractions. Sometimes it can be nice to have a diversion, but we need to work on our healing. So I'm asking you to give me an hour a day. You need 30 minutes of meditation and 30 minutes of edification. For the edification, right now while you're healing, use my videos. Okay. I have for you the healing app, which is going to drop a new video right on your app. It's going to be right there on your phone. All you do is one tap and the video is right there, ready to go for you every single day. New video, 7 days a week, even on holidays, even on Sundays. There's a new edification there. Okay. There's also a guided meditation there on the app. It's called Mind by Roman Zanoni. If you haven't downloaded it, make sure you download that healing app. In addition to that, I've opened up Mind University, which is where you'll have courses, new courses dropping. Right now, there's 9 separate courses inside Mind University, including the Adapt Healing course. Enroll in Mind University. That one is $39 per month, and you're going to get an education about life and assertiveness and healing and all that stuff that's going to far surpass anything you could have learned in college or high school. This is going to help you to heal faster. In addition, there are free videos on YouTube that you can use. I know a lot of you guys use TikTok, and that's cool, but I don't really put a lot of long form content there. I know there's some, and use them, but make sure you're headed over to my YouTube as well so that you can get the long form content. You need this, okay? It's not just about distracting yourself. You need to take in information that's going to help you to elevate your mind so you're not still in the same mindset that you had as a child trying to grow up. We don't want to stay in our mindset as a child. Even if we had great parents, we still don't want to stay in the mindset of the child. We need to grow, and we grow through the edification. If you're a people pleaser, you're a liar, plain and simple. If you're a people pleaser, you're a liar. So what I advise for you, instead of being a liar, start telling the truth. What this means is that in your relationships, you will now show up as authentic. Make a decision to do that right now. Right now. Write it down. From now on, I will show up as authentic in my relationships. This means that you will not lie. You will tell people exactly what you are thinking, exactly what you are feeling, when you are feeling it, or very soon after you are feeling it, so that you're not keeping them in the dark. When you don't tell people how you truly feel, you are enabling them to be your abuser, to be your neglector, to be your engulfer, because they don't know how you're truly feeling, so they're proceeding on, right? You're also making it so that they continue to be irritating to you. This is very important. Your assertiveness, your ability to be authentic and to tell people, hey, I don't like that. Hey, don't do that. Your ability to do that in life helps others, your adult kids, your mom and dad, your spouse. It helps them and your minor children to stop being so irritating to you. Again, your ability to tell them the truth allows them to stop being so irritating. How do I know how to stop irritating you if you don't ever tell me how you feel? You're disarming me. Does that make sense? And so you can arm me to actually be able to show up as someone who's not a total annoyance, a bugaboo to you by just speaking up authentically. Very important skill to learn. Speaking up authentically. So I want you to learn to show up authentically in every situation and to stop lying. So stop people pleasing. Okay. Again, the app that's going to help you with the authentic showing up, Mind by Roman Zanoni. You can find it for iPhone and Android as well if you haven't already downloaded it. Now, when we talk about having a low bandwidth emotionally for other people's problems, I want you to first develop the bandwidth to deal with your own emotional problems. This comes from practicing the meditation of connecting to your emotions. The meditation of connecting to your emotions is every single time you have discomfort, stop, pause, and ask yourself, what am I feeling? Why am I feeling it? You can pull out the emotional color wheel that you can find on the app or on the resources page of the website. And you can look for the vocabulary, you can look for the actual emotion that names how you actually feel. But you have to stop and you have to check in with your emotions. How much? Every time you get an uncomfortable emotion. Don't check out, don't run away. Check in, feel it. Your emotions are very important. Some are allowing the emotions to guide them. Don't do that. They're not that important. Some hide from the emotions. Don't do that. Your emotions are too important. You have to hit a sweet spot or a balance. And the balance is recognizing that the emotions need to be listened to, but not obeyed. We need to listen to the emotions, but not obey them. How does that work? Well, in any healthy subordinate superior relationship, like let's take work, right? A, a CEO may have an assistant or an advisor. The assistant or the advisor is the boss? No, the CEO is the boss. Good. So should he disregard his assistant and his advisor and not listen to them? Well, no. He should listen to them. Should he obey them? No. Like the assistant and like the advisor, your emotions are there to communicate important information to you regarding how you're perceiving reality to interact with your values. So, like a good CEO would listen to his assistant or his advisor and say, hey, go ahead, tell me what you think about this. That's what you must do from now on with your emotions. You say, you sit down and you say, go ahead, tell me how you're feeling. What's wrong? And let your emotions talk. In fact, using the JAP method helps you to put those emotions into words on the left-hand side of the page. You're saying, go ahead, tell me what's going on. What are you fearing? What are you feeling? And then listen to the emotions, write them down. But you're not going to just stop there and say, okay, you're in charge, buddy. No, no, no. A CEO will say to his assistant, his advisor, thank you so much for your viewpoint on that. Thank you for giving me that valuable information. Now, if you don't mind, I need to make a decision. And then the CEO will analyze based on all of the information what he believes will be best for the direction of the company, purpose-driven decision making, and then he will decide from there. Okay? So from now on, make it a point to do purpose-driven decision making. Listen to the emotions. Don't obey the emotions. Don't allow fear to be your guide. Just allow fear to inform you. We talked a little bit about trust on Monday. Do you feel like you're at a point now where you understand what to do with trust, how trust is actually supposed to work? Does anyone know what trust is? Maybe you remember from Monday what we said trust is. Many people think trust is a feeling, but that's wrong. And so we're waiting to feel trust again for someone. Or think you're looking for, wow, you guys are on top of it. Man, you guys are fast learners. Yeah, good. Okay, well, that's great. The answer for those of you on TikTok is trust is a decision, is a choice. Trust is a choice, right? So you can actually make a decision to give your trust or to withdraw your trust at any time. You do not need to wait until you feel the feelings of trust. Again, you can make a decision to give your trust or withdraw your trust at any time. You do not have to wait around for someone to hit you, strike you over the head, make you feel overwhelmed with trust. Okay? If you think that a relationship is worthwhile to preserve, like a relationship with your children or a relationship with an employee, even though they've done something to betray your trust, you can simply choose to restore your trust. And I've had that situation with employees. I talk about that in my book, I believe, where one employee betrayed my trust. She almost like tried to start a coup in the business, and that I had at the time. I sat down and just talked to her, and I said, I feel embarrassed because I've trusted you with a leadership position in my company, and now you've done all this and tried to turn people against me. I said, obviously that's a betrayal of my trust, but after I talked to her, I told her, here's my decision moving forward. I'm going to restore trust to you. I'm going to give you trust again. Not because she earned it, but because if I don't, it destroys the relationship. That's the end of the relationship. If I end the trust, it ends the relationship because trust is the currency of the relationship. Her response, she was crying with gratitude. Moving forward, we continue to have a good relationship for the years following. Even though she had done something really bad. Did she earn the trust? No, she betrayed the trust. Why did she get the trust back? Because I choose who I give my trust to, and I chose to give her another chance. I chose to give her my trust. So I told her she had a clean slate, and I'm going to restore her same responsibility, same authority. Everything's the same, even though she had done something really wrong. Right? You have the ability to decide to give trust. You have the ability to decide to take it away as well. So be smart and recognize when someone's not a good investment of your trust and stop investing in them, right? Does that make sense? So when we do these things that we've talked about today, these things will help us to heal. But just from listening to this one talk, you may not be able to memorize all this and put it into action. So again, I encourage you download the app, enroll in Mind University, and make sure you're watching the YouTube videos so that I can help you and assist you to heal faster. You can also do individual sessions with me. I've opened up some availability on my calendar. You go to the website mindfreed.org and book a session.